What does the gospel do? It compels us. From the inside out, it transforms us and compels us to use our gifts how we can. Matthew 13:44 says, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in the field that a man found and reburied. Then, in his joy, goes out and sells everything he has and buys that field." That is a little bit of a look into what the gospel does for us. It opens the eyes of our heart and allows us to see the world in a different light. And that light, which is Christ's love, compels us to get rid of all of our worldly possessions, all of our self, and live for Him instead of ourselves. So, how does it change us? I think it changes us in 2 steps. The first step is what we were talking about. Christ's love compels us. It spurs us on to share the gospel, to live like Christ. And then 2, continues to transform from the inside out. That process is called sanctification. There's an interesting miracle that Jesus performed when He healed a blind man. And it's interesting because this is the only time in the Bible where someone is healed in 2 steps. Jesus does everything for a reason, and I think His reason here was to show us the process of what happens when we are saved. So starting in Mark 8:22, they came to Bethsaida. They brought a blind man to Him and begged to touch Him. They took the blind man by his hand and brought him out of the village, spitting into his eyes and laying his hands on him. "Do you see anything?" He looked up and said, "I see people walking around like trees." Again, Jesus placed His hands on the man's eyes. The man looked intently and his sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly, then sent him home saying, "Don't even go into the village." That first touch that Jesus gives him, He's restoring all of the nerves inside of his eyes. He's restoring his eyeball, his everything. And if you know anything about neuroscience or ophthalmology, that is something that is just phenomenal. Now, Paul says, we see as through a glass darkly, or we see as through a mirror darkly. Back then, mirrors were not polished as well as they are now. And that is our original saving. When we are saved, we're seeing as through a glass darkly. And then Jesus slowly but surely wipes that glass clean so that we can see clearly again. And that process is called sanctification. As you develop a relationship, as you develop a friendship, as you develop a love for Christ. So, I know that was a little bit of a long one. Thank you guys for bearing with me, and thank you so much for supporting Motivation Monday. This is one of the things that I do on my channel that I think is more important than anything else. So, I'll be posting this in 2 sections. I really needed this, and my mentor taught me this lesson. So, I hope that it touches one of you guys as well. Even just one will make it all worth it for me. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next Monday.